Do the big name franchise brands really make as much as people say? Today, I'm going to show you the real revenue numbers for some of the big name franchise brands, and then we're going to contrast those with some little known franchises that actually cost a fraction, sometimes a tenth of the price of the big names and can make just as much money and sometimes even more. So let's start off by looking at some big names highest to lowest on the QSR 50. These are food type franchises. Top of the list is Chick-Fil-A. An average Chick-Fil-A location generates over $7 million a year, and you can actually get a Chick-fil-A franchise for only $10,000. Now, Chick-fil-A, though, is not like a regular franchise, as the profit split is much lower, and the chance of getting a Chick-fil-A is very, very low. They get tens of thousands of applications every single year, and they open around 100 new restaurants. We actually covered all of the details behind buying a Chick-fil-A franchise in a previous video. I'll post the link above and at the end of the video. Now, who is the lowest on the QSR 50? That distinction goes to Subway. An average Subway restaurant brings in under $500,000 a year, which may actually sound like a lot of money to a lot of people, but after your rent, your salaries, your taxes, your insurance, all of your other costs related to running a business, many owners have just bought themselves a job. Subway's also closed thousands of stores over the last few years. I'll post that link above to the video as well. Your total costs to open a Subway franchise are between $238,000 to $536,000. Now, another popular brand, McDonald's franchise, that's going to cost you between $1.4 to $2.7 million. And remember, none of these costs I give you today include real estate. You might ask, well, $2 million I'm putting in, I don't own the real estate. What am I paying for exactly? Well, here are the breakdown, all of the costs related to opening a McDonald's in 2025. Now, note most of your costs relate to signage, seating, and decor, which can be over $1 million alone. Now, McDonald's, they're going to own the real estate in that case that you're in, and they charge you a monthly rent. But as far as revenue goes, McDonald's not that bad. They're generating over $4 million a year right now. So what about some of the other big food brands? Let's speed things up a little bit here, get you the most information we can from high to low. So Whataburger, average location just under $4 million a year. Chipotle and Shake Shack, doing just over $3 million. An average Popeyes does $1.8 million. Panda Express, $2.5 million a year. And let's look at some of the low ones. You might be surprised. Pizza Hut averages just over $1 million. Hundreds of locations are closing. We covered that in a video. I'll post that above. Little Caesars also not doing well, under $800,000. Papa Murphy's only $667,000. Smoothie King only $661,000, and Jimmy John's comes in at only $936,000. If I missed any, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll do my best to get you that information. Or feel free to call franchise inspectors, brokers anytime. We've got all this information on file. Now let's look at some of these much lower investment brands that can still earn millions of dollars. But before we do, here's a question. Why do people buy these lower earning franchises when the investment for a higher earning franchise is about the same? Well, the answer is, in many cases, they simply did not know. Most people, they see a Little Caesars in their town that is busy. They happen to love the food. They call the franchisor that tells them how great this opportunity might be, and they have no idea that for the same investment, they could be making 3 or 4 times the revenue. So always call an expert like a broker before you buy a franchise, just to see what else is available. So now, what if you don't have the millions of dollars to invest in a big name franchise, but you want to own a franchise and make some good money? Now, what are the options available for you? Now, you saw in the example with food franchises that you can invest up to $1 million just for your signs and your seating, plus your rent in these cases is very high. You need a high traffic location. But a service type franchise, we're talking about businesses like renovation, real estate, painting, even cleaning. These can all be run from a small office, so very low rent. They have much lower startup costs than food, and some of them even generate as much or even more than some of the big name food franchises. For example, an in-home senior care franchise, you hire caregivers who help seniors in their homes. And right now, lots of baby boomers getting older, so it's a growth market. This business can be run from a small office, in some cases, in some states, from a home. And the investment is not in the millions of dollars. In fact, these franchises run as low as about $50,000, most of them in the $100,000 to $200,000 range total investment. Now, you might recall in our previous most profitable franchise videos, the highest earning franchise we ever saw was in the senior care franchise space, generated over $55 million a year. Now, to put that in perspective, the highest McDonald's only generates around $12 million a year. Now, are loans, financing available? You may be asking. Yep, SBA loans are available for these types of franchises, 10 to 30% down approximately. But keep in mind, unlike a food franchise, customers don't just walk in and buy a hamburger or a slice of pizza. You need to get out there with these businesses and drum up customers. So make sure your skills are in alignment or you're not going to make any money. Next up, not one people usually want to talk about, cleaning franchises. This is not a glamorous place like owning a restaurant might be, but they can earn millions in revenue. Fairly easy business to run. From a small office, you manage crews of cleaners that either clean residential or commercial spaces. Again, investment is as low as $50,000. Larger name cleaning franchises typically between about $100 to $200 total investment, and that includes your working capital. Now, there are even specialty franchises in this space like jet detailing and crime scene cleanup, which can be very profitable. Real estate is another low investment option that can generate millions. Some choices in the market are real estate investing with brands like We Buy Ugly Houses. I'm sure you've seen those signs out throughout the U.S. A lot of people don't know. Yeah, that is a franchise. Property management, where you manage a portfolio of real estate and charge a fee, or even real estate inspections. And if you've ever hired a home inspection service like Pillar to Post, for example, yep, that is a franchise as well. Now, these type of franchises, again, start at around $60,000 and up. So did I save the best until last? Maybe. But master franchising is a concept most people have never heard of. Basically, you buy a license to sell sub-franchises in your territory. So you basically are becoming a mini franchise company yourself. Now, the most popular master franchise model right now is in cleaning. And here is an actual example of a master franchise cleaning disclosure. You can see the average earnings are $3.3 million. The top producer is over $8 million a year. So in these situations, basically you are acquiring commercial cleaning contracts. You then sell those contracts as a sub-franchise to people who are looking for business opportunities and side gigs in your local marketplace. Now, you've probably seen ads in your area for these investments. Now, a little bit higher investment for a master franchise, you're looking at between $200,000 to $300,000 all in. Now, just a few other options depending on your skills and your market demand. Staffing, some of these have average revenue close to $6 million. Your investment between about $140,000 to $200,000. Disaster recovery and cleanup, another popular one, and in certain locations you can do very, very well. Junk removal, and even consulting. All of these have million-dollar potential. They can all be run from a small office and a much lower investment than food. Many of them starting at about $50,000, averaging probably about $120,000. Always give a broker a call before you buy a franchise. We've got hundreds of choices we can show you. We're going to help you find the best one for your situation. I'll place the link above for our page and our franchise education playlist. Hundreds of videos in that. I'll place that link down below. Thanks for watching.